Hi everyone, this is Matt from Soft Solutions. Today with a bit of a brief video, but I thought it would be worthwhile having it available just on a few details around the new version 16 update 5 of 3CX that was recently released. So there's a few bits of cool new functionality that have come into this flavor of 3CX, as we always see with these service packs. I wrote a blog post recently around a key thing around upgrading, which I'd also like to touch on. But some of the key things that the new update grants is there have been improvements to the Android and iOS apps, as well as also the Windows app. Now, the interesting thing with the Windows app is a lot of the new functionality that was being built into 3CX was present in the web client, which we're seeing a massive adoption of now, just because it's so easy to use and feature-rich. But a lot of functionality now, thanks to user feedback, is also coming into the Windows desktop client as well, which is really, really, really cool to see. So we've got that. We've got some new additions to the Google Chrome extension as well, with new features. We've had some new E911 options, and that's come off the back of the requirement from the states around carries law, which we'll touch on in a little bit. So let's get started. So a key thing here is upgrading to the latest version of 3CX. Now, hopefully most users out there and systems out there already are on version 16. Preferably update 4, and I know a lot of users are because they've got the options set under the updates to upgrade the PBX automatically, which is a very, very handy tool because you can schedule for 3CX to run its update cycle, say at 2, 3, 4 in the morning or something like that, with minimal disruption to users and minimal staff utilization time for admins as well, because it can just tick while you sleep and go ahead and upgrade everything. So a big thing that's come into the new update 5 is support for the new Apple Push. Now, the new Apple Push service utilizes something called HTTP2, and as such, it requires an operating system for 3CX to be running on that actually has support for HTTP2. Now, if you're on Windows, for the desktop version, HTTP2 is supported at a minimum on Windows 10. So for any of those old machines that are sitting on, say, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, they really need to move to Windows 10. I believe it's still a free upgrade at the moment offered by Microsoft to start utilizing some of these new push capabilities. For users on version 15.5, notably, version 15.5 is actually end of life now, so strongly recommend to start upgrading to a version 16 instance to take advantage of all the bug fixes and new functionality that is present in new builds of 3CX. And so for a Windows Server standpoint, it requires at least Windows Server 2016. So there's still a lot of users out there, hopefully not on 2008, but a lot of users still on 2012 R2 because the box is sat there and it's run and 3CX updates have run and it just works. So for those users, they do need to migrate to a Server 2016 machine to take advantage of all this new functionality with 3CX. But understandably, there are a lot of users out there who maybe don't want to, excuse me, pay for a new server license or go through the steps of having to upgrade to a new edition. So the general recommendation there is to take a backup from the 3CX management console and of course put it somewhere safe that isn't in the main 3CX directory or something like that, preferably on a NAS or even better, offsite. Take that backup from, say, server 2012 of the 3CX system, and then go to your reseller partner portal, log in and go into downloads, get the 3CX Debian edition and build that system out. It's very simple, and then go ahead and restore that older backup into the Debian flavor, and you're away and running. So this isn't a costly time process to get it up and running. Setting up a new virtual machine or something like that with the pre-built ISO is really simple. You just make sure that your IPs, etc., are all staying the same. Your previous 3CX backup will already have all your license and FQDN details and things like that in there. So the restore process should take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, if that. So it isn't a time-costly process. For users that are already on Debian, go ahead and update to the latest version of 3CX from your management console. You're already supported and you should be all set. So, without that in the way, let's have a look quickly at some of the new functionality that's coming with the new Apple client. So we're starting to see video calling coming into the mobile clients themselves, which of course is really cool. We had that functionality via web meeting and the web client, but now we're getting it in the mobile clients too, which is really cool. Of course, with lockdown recently, a lot of users are already starting to utilize conferencing solutions and things like that, so this is just an added bonus. Again, for users under active maintenance or with a current subscription, you're already all set to move to this and get this functionality. So we've got video calls in there. We've got the tunnel encryption in there with improvements as well, and there's actually an identifier now that will show on screen when you're utilizing that to show that the call is encrypted. A big question I've had, especially when we've been out and about running training, is if I'm on a mobile client and I'm sitting on my Wi-Fi access point and I need to take the call, but I may need to get in the car or something like that, put it onto hands-free and carry on that call, will it actually switch over from Wi-Fi to 3G and 4G smoothly? And the answer is yes, it will. So that's really, really cool. It's that added peace of mind. Has a lot of flexibility there. But there is a key consideration here. Now, this isn't a 3CX decision, this is an Apple decision, so their legacy push service, they're looking at making it end of life in the second half of this year, so it's really important to get onto a version of 3CX that can actually support the app properly. 3CX are actually giving a bit of a grace period, so this update came out to the first or second week of April. We're now currently on the last week of April. So users that have got the iOS app haven't automatically updated just yet, but there will be a time when this happens, so it's definitely a good thing to prepare for. So, our remote workers on PCs and laptops, 3CX has added new capabilities to the 3CX browser extension. I actually saw a fair bit of this driven from the 3CX Ideas forum as well. So, coming back, back when, all the way back to when 3CX soft phones, I think based out of Silverlight, we had hotkeys and the like come into the product, and a lot of users got comfortable with them. This is now available in the browser extension, so there are hotkeys to be able to, say, highlight a number, have a hotkey to dial it automatically. There's been some improvements to incoming chat notifications as well, which is really cool, because we want to see that screen pop and be able to see it. There's more ability to edit settings as well, and there is a new white theme that's present. Moving on to the new E911 options. So this was highly requested, and there's been a lot of policies in the States especially, and I can see this as well in Europe, where there was extra functionality that was required from calls to emergency numbers. Now, without getting into too many of the specifics of a few of the US cases that drove this, very sad cases, but the key here is when an emergency number is called, say the police or fire or ambulance, these new options that are available give the ability to say on a per outbound number, you can actually designate a little more detail around it. So be it whereabouts in the building that number is typically operated from or something like that. It may be a specific floor of a building. In the legacy POTS days of calling 911, typically you had a geolocation that would flag to the emergency service provider when you called them, so they would know what address the call is coming from to dispatch assistance. So it's a little different when it comes to SIP, but we do have this new functionality functionality that has been built into 3CX to be able to specify this. And so we've got a few things in here. You can add emergency numbers per extension or group, and you can have specific routes for them via SIP trunks. You can do this via templates and emails as well. You can have a custom caller ID going out as well, and you can actually designate a policy name in there too. So strongly recommend checking out this blog post. So we're currently on the main 3CX blog. Have a look at the E911 video guide that's listed here, as it has a few more details around this new functionality. Now I do expect it's going to be built out a little bit further because these laws are somewhat fresh, but it just goes to show how much 3CX listen to their community when it comes to feature requests and getting this functionality into the product. Moving on, some other improvements in here. So online backup via Google Buckets. So this is new functionality that's come in. We had secure FTP coming in the last release of 3CX. Now, a key driver for giving these options for offsite backup is a lot of users were utilizing the Google Drive offsite backup, which was a fantastic way to get an easy offsite backup. Unfortunately, Google made a few changes to the way that it handles that service, and as such it became extremely limited and it wouldn't be able to support the entire 3CX user base. So 3CX went back to the drawing board and have now added in support to be able to offsite your backups to Google Buckets, and that's the same for recordings as well, so it's in there. As I mentioned earlier, so due to new APIs that 3CX have built, the desktop client of 3CX for Windows has got new added abilities in there as well. There's been some optimized chat performance as well, and of course with pretty much every release, 3CX has streamlined even more performance, so on systems, no extra resource overhead for a lot more functionality. So also at the bottom of the blog post here, we've got some details around how to upgrade. Again, I recommend going to www.3cx.com/blog or check out our Soft Solution blog for these links and check out the new update. For any questions you have around upgrading 3CX instances or for more around this release, please feel free to reach out to us at voip@softsol.co.nz and we will be there to assist. We are still running at the moment and we look forward to hearing you. Thank you very much.